What is going on, fellow Surface Duo fans? I have a kind of interesting piece of news to bring to you guys today. So, if you know much about the long and storied history of Microsoft's Surface Duo, you probably know that it began its life as not a cell phone, but in fact, a pocketable PC. This thing was meant to run a very customized version of Windows, and it was meant to be a Surface device, be a pocketable PC that you would open up and you would take notes on and do things like that. Not a cell phone. Android came along much later, and with Android, probably was going to have a cellular modem anyways. I don't actually know this for sure. I'm sure this information is out there, and I probably had it in my head at one point. Whether or not there was a modem that was going to be in this thing from the beginning or not, I'm not 100% sure. But at any rate, it wasn't meant to be seen necessarily as a cell phone, but when Android came on board, hey, that is now a cell phone. There's really no way around it. You can say, hey, don't call it a phone, whatever, but it's a phone. Everyone knows it's a phone at that point. What am I talking about? Why am I talking about cellular modems and things like that? Well, Gus, the guy that is putting Windows 11 on the original Surface Duo, he tweeted something just the other day that I thought was quite interesting. It looks like there was going to be a Wi-Fi only Surface Duo 2 at some point. And what we're looking at here is some source code here. I believe this is the source code for the kernel on Surface Duo 2. And we can see here model equals Surface Duo 2 EV 2.2 underscore Wi-Fi. So this indicates that Microsoft was at least at some point toying with the idea of creating a Wi-Fi only variant of Surface Duo 2. Now we also have to think about the fact that Microsoft was also making a Surface Duo 2 Lite. So on one hand, this is not super shocking because Microsoft was already playing with the idea of expanding the Surface Duo line, but it is a little bit surprising in that I'm not sure, and maybe this is why it in the end never really happened, I'm not sure who this would really benefit. I mean, we already have the original Surface Duo in existence, and it can be found and purchased for very, very cheap. And to me, this makes much more sense as a companion device than Surface Duo 2. Because this assumes, right, if this is Wi-Fi only, right, this is not your cell phone, means you probably have a cell phone already. Maybe you have a Pixel 6a in your pocket, which would be a great device to use in tandem with a Surface Duo. Maybe that device is in your other pocket. Well, that means you don't need the cameras on the back of Duo 2, right? That means you could probably stand for it to be really thin because it's your second device. So a Duo 2 with the camera module, with all that stuff going on, here's my Duo 2, with that camera bump and the extra thickness and everything, I just don't know how much sense that makes as a companion device. I think this form factor is the better quote-unquote companion device. And maybe, again, that's why this never really came to fruition. Gus also very rightly points out that it would have been interesting to see this, but he doesn't think the price would have been that different because removing cellular data, that's not going to reduce the price by $300 or $400. I mean, that's going to be a negligible difference in terms of lowering that price. And yes, while it may have appealed to those that want to use it as a secondary device, with the price, with the camera bump, with the thickness, with the not folding all the way around closed to have some cameras that you probably don't need because it's your secondary device, it really doesn't make any sense at all why this would be toyed with. Now, we also don't know that this was ever something that made it further than just very early messing with. This doesn't mean this thing was like well into development and that they were about to release a Wi-Fi only Duo 2 at some point. Simply that the kernel references that one did exist at some point. Now, for those of you that managed to stick around to the end of this video, I want to talk about something else very, very briefly. You may have seen on the community tab for this YouTube channel that I posted something. You guys might want to be subbed to Gus on Twitter. Just a heads up. And I don't actually know the timing of this. I think that I posted this shortly before Gus tweeted this. And if you were thinking, oh, that's the news story that was about to break via Gus that I was hinting at. No, that is not the news story that I was hinting at. And I don't want to say much because I don't want to put him in a weird situation where expectations are too high. All I'm going to say is I want to reiterate, go on Twitter, Gus33000, and give him a follow because there may be more stuff coming, right? There may be another really interesting thing, an interesting revelation, maybe we could call it, coming from Gus, hopefully in the not so distant future. Hopefully I get this video posted before he goes and scoops me, but that would be pretty typical for how this channel tends to go for me. Again, I don't want to say too much, right? But yeah, some things, it turns out, aren't as impossible as we may have thought. May have said too much already. Guys, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new here. I'll see you on the next one. And until next time, stay nerdy, my friends.